There's always something, and the new something is a lot of people are very upset with Ricky Gervais' new special on Netflix. Lots of spoilers coming up for that special after the late night jokes. Stephen Colbert said he was feeling a little unsettled about America's future after a poll showed that Americans are feeling uneasy and worried at the moment. Our national bird is now the balding eagle. 74% of Americans say things are going badly, while 65% say Biden is slow to act when something bad happens. Well, yeah, he's 79. Colbert then talked monkeypox, the hot new virus everybody's talking about, and repeated Biden's statement that people should be concerned. Way ahead of you, said Colbert. There have now been 190 confirmed or suspected cases, mostly in Europe, but it's now monkeyed its way over to America, mostly as a sexual and genital form. Colbert said the genital form of something is always the worst possible form. He joked about the baby formula shortage, saying, if I told you that 5 years ago, you'd say that's got to be the worst news of the day, and then I'd tell you about genital monkeypox. Spoilers for Ricky Gervais coming up in 3, 2, 1. Boy, people are not happy with this one. I woke up, started prepping the podcast, typed in the word comedy, and boom! The UK sites have been all over Ricky Gervais' new special. They are 5 hours ahead of where I live on the Eastern time zone, so they had time to watch it. Variety writes, Ricky Gervais' Netflix comedy special Supernature had only been released on the streamer for a few hours, but already drew criticism for a string of graphic and hurtful transphobic jokes. 4 minutes into the special, Ricky dives into material about the trans community seemingly calculated to draw controversy. Ricky says in the special, oh, women, not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones, the old-fashioned women, the one with wombs, those effing dinosaurs. I love the new women. They're great, aren't they? The new ones we've been seeing lately, the one with beards and penises. I'm cleaning that up. They're as good as gold. I love them. And now the old-fashioned ones say, oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets for ladies? They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person isn't a lady? Well, his penis, her penis, you bigot. Variety adds, a few minutes later, when discussing Kevin Hart removing himself from hosting the Oscars in 2018 for past homophobic tweets, Ricky continued joking about the trans community, saying you can't predict what will be offensive in the future. You don't know who the dominant mob will be. Like the worst thing you can say today, get you canceled on Twitter, death threats. The worst thing you can say today is women don't have penises, right? Now, no one saw that coming. You won't find a 10-year-old tweet saying women don't have penises. You know why? We didn't think we had to. Some civilians reacted on Twitter at @discount_Ripley. 5 minutes in, and he's making jokes about trans women attacking and raping people in public bathrooms. To him, we only exist as a punchline, a threat, something less than human. Dr. Amy Roberts tweets, Ricky Gervais is a disgrace. He's going to cause hate crime and ultimately the death of trans folk. Anyone who needs to vilify minorities to get a laugh is the most evil, hateful soul and seriously needs mental help. Martha tweets, if you're a comedian, you support trans people, it's your responsibility to be speaking out against Dave Chappelle and the new Ricky Gervais special. At this point, you can't call yourself an ally if you're not publicly taking a stand against it. It's the bare minimum. Unicorns Rock tweets, it's getting worse this year. Parliament had MPs discussing the trans question, their words, and now today there's Ricky Gervais. Trans people are going to end up getting killed over this. We need international help, a lifeline, anything. At GoBias tweets, Ricky Gervais could go after the governments, banks, billionaires, the ones causing actual harm to ordinary people all over the world on an unfathomable scale every day, but he goes after trans people instead. Yeah, Ricky son, you speak your truth to power. Coward. I have not seen the special yet. I am recording this. It's 1:09 p.m. on Tuesday as I record this. I'm definitely planning on watching it tonight. My view from 30,000 feet is I find it interesting. This is stirring up the same controversies that the Chappelle special did, and Netflix finds itself in that conversation again. From a corporation standpoint, arguably surprising that they want to be part of that conversation. On the other hand, they seem to have made an agnostic decision to let the comedians do what they do their art, and they will share it. In the end, it all comes down to the money. If people are watching Netflix for Dave Chappelle specials, and I've got some stuff coming up over the weekend, Dave was paid $20 million a special, reportedly. So Netflix thinks they can make money off Chappelle or presumably Ricky Gervais. Money talks. If a ton of people cancel over this special, then you won't see more of this type of special. But I haven't seen it. Let me see it, and then I can comment more. The Hollywood Reporter says Gervais also referred to the new phenomenon of woke comedy, where comics do not seek to offend anyone. I tried to watch a bit of it, and I decided I'd rather watch Louis C.K. masturbate. Can't mention him anymore. He's canceled. In a bit about people who are canceled, he talked about Liam Neeson facing fallout from the Irish actor's confession that he once considered a racist revenge attack. When that broke, I was like, oh, will I ever be able to find Schindler's List funny again? I do still find it funny, obviously. Ricky takes a minute and sheds his persona and says, in real life, of course, I support trans rights. I support human rights, and trans rights are human rights. You know, live your best life. Use your preferred pronouns. Be the gender that you feel you are. But meet me halfway, ladies. Lose the penis. That's all I'm saying. Piers Morgan, and I follow Piers Morgan on Twitter because I've mentioned I'm the writer on Palace Intrigue, which is about the royal family, and Piers loves to beat up on Harry and Meghan, and it makes good content for that podcast. Piers Morgan said, watching Supernature on Netflix, absolutely outrageous, fabulously offensive, hilariously funny, and already enraging all the right people like Nish Kumar, who are too woke, humorless, and dumb to understand the comedy. Brilliant work, Ricky Gervais. I just scanned Nish's Twitter page, and I don't see him mentioning the special at all yet. Nish Kumar is in New York this week, I just learned. Chortle gave the special 2.5 stars out of 5. They write, comedy evolves, Ricky Gervais tells his audience as he explains the nature of stand-up, but his comedy barely does. The show opens with a riff where he feigns to name-check some female comics to prove women are funny, but draws a blank. It's pretty much the same gag he did about being unable to name any funny black British comedians and extras 16 years ago. But that's the thin end of a wedge of deliberately offensive material that's showing its age. What was once provocative about AIDS, abortion, Hitler, dwarves, and more has now turned to hack, and Gervais isn't keeping up. When a Twitter critic accuses Gervais as being as funny as a fart at a baby's funeral, he takes this as a compliment, reveling in the fact that such a guffe would be hilarious precisely because it's so inappropriate. Likewise, he tells a joke about hitting a disabled toddler and reasonably explains that no one actually got hurt in the making of that punchline. Sure, no one will start hitting toddlers because of a gag, but there are plenty of bigots who get their prejudices reinforced by comedians' anti-trans quips and will take hateful comments out into the real world. Gervais's hack on other topics too, from rectal examination and nudity in gym dressing rooms to noting that living healthily might give you extra years, but they come at the end of your life, not in your prime. Despite this, one of his strongest routines comes on the most clichés of topics, the difference between cats and dogs, as he discusses their penises. He gets bogged down into a too long act out of what it would be like if he were to transition to a woman, just to lean into the subject he knows will provoke controversy, and another imagining God inventing HIV to punish the homosexuals, a routine which would have been bang on the zeitgeist in 1986. The Independent gave it 2 stars out of 5. They write, the problem with Supernature, as with much comedy these days, progressive or irreverent, is that it finds itself sucked into the self-referential death spiral of the culture wars. Ricky Gervais has always been a master of this, from The Office to stand-up. He revels in acknowledging the "you can't say that anymore" element of taboo comedy. The audience hoots and hollers, along with all the bigotry, seeming to enjoy it more. The closer it gets to the edge, the more buttons it pushes. Please welcome to the stage a man who really doesn't need to do this. Gervais's disembodied voice announces as the title comes up. He might not need to do it, but we definitely don't need to watch it. Whew, that was a lot for the first half. I am looking forward to watching the special, and I did have a nice TV night the other night. I watched The Hall. That's the Netflix Comedy Hall of Fame. Nice enough show. The opener, Pete Davidson. And he was okay. He was funny. He was a weird choice, and in his own comedy, he addressed that he's a weird choice for that. Jon Stewart came out to induct Carlin. John was slow, and I actually wound up skipping him. I just wasn't feeling John at all. Then Mulaney came out to induct Robin Williams. Interesting, doing this for a living, I heard a lot of edits in Mulaney's presentation. I'm wondering what the real version was, but there were a lot of audio edits. Chelsea Handler inducted Joan Rivers. I still think it's a weird choice. I still think, like, I know Joan Rivers better than Chelsea Handler. Maybe I don't. Maybe they were tight, but I feel like I know Joan better. If you're new to this show, Joan Rivers had a talk show on WOR Radio at the turn of the century, and I worked with Joan for a few years. I really enjoyed the Joan part. I thought Joan's clips were pretty strong. Jeff Ross came out. He was talking about the big-name comedians that have died, Gilbert Gottfried, Louis Anderson, Bob Saget, Norm Macdonald, and he has a great closer that I don't want to ruin. I'll give you a couple days, and if I remember, I will share it with you. But watch it. I don't want to step on his line, but it's a great closer. Dave Chappelle came out to induct Richard Pryor. Chappelle was okay. The Pryor clips were solid. And as I watched the Richard Pryor clips, it just reminded me once again how much of a lift Eddie Murphy's stand-up act was of Richard Pryor. Like, it's practically a cover band, Eddie. And I am of the age where Eddie Murphy was our comedy god, but as I became more educated on this and went backwards in time, and I was like, oh, the way you do voices, the way you dress, this is all Richard Pryor's act. Sorry, Eddie, but it is true. I remain an Eddie Murphy fan. I'm not here to dump on Eddie, but, it is what it is. I like Greta Van Fleet, but they're clearly doing Led Zeppelin. Doesn't mean I don't like the music. I like the music a lot, but it's Led Zeppelin, guys. Speaking of Eddie, wasn't he working on a comeback comedy tour when Dolomite came out? Didn't we hear Eddie was going to come back on stage? Maybe there was a pandemic. I don't know. Is that ever going to happen, Eddie? Then I put on Katt Williams' special. The audio on that was horrific. Like, I don't know who mic'd this thing. I almost feel like the mic that's in Katt's hand wasn't on or wasn't plugged in, or the board was off, and they had to use the crowd mic to try and capture Katt's audio, and they decided not to shoot the whole special again. I thought maybe I was crazy. I went on Twitter and typed in something like Katt Williams audio, and other people were saying it as well. So maybe the special was funny, but I can't hear it, and it's too much work to sit there and really have to zone in on every word. So I bailed on Katt Williams. Sorry. I want to talk about some weirdness in the Netflix algorithm. So I'm going down and I'm like, oh, I'll watch Katt Williams. And I see trending now, David Spade. And I don't even see the Katt Williams special. I had to actually go into search and type in K-A-T-T. Oh, there it is. So then I hit play, watched 3 minutes of Katt. The audio sucked. You've heard that story. And then I went back to the main menu, and in trending, no sign of David Spade, but now Katt Williams is trending. Is the algorithm totally fake, or if I watch 3 minutes of something, does it trend for the whole universe? And why did David Spade untrend in that same 3 minutes? Very suspicious. So I watched David Spade's special. Pretty good. Right now, it's on my best of the year. I don't know if it'll stay there, and it'll probably be at the bottom of the list. It was just fun. It's not hilarious. Got some chuckles out of me. His energy's very good. I enjoyed the heck out of it. So watch The Hall, watch David Spade, and Katt Williams, sorry. I have to do some more work on this next story, but Mark Normand is being accused of being a joke thief. I shared the story on the Reddit, which is Daily Comedy News subreddit. A comedian I've never heard of is accusing Mark of stealing some jokes. The gist of the joke is going to a strip bar is like going to the pet store, and the comparison is between the animals and the strippers, that maybe they've come from broken homes and aren't they cute, and don't you just want to take them home and they look like they love you? And it's definitely a similar premise, but what caught my attention is that in both bits, one of the strippers is named Roxy, a very specific name to use. So who knows? But I also think, isn't Roxy the name of a hooker in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? So maybe, I don't know, maybe just everybody goes to Roxy. We'll keep an eye on Mark Normand, accused joke thief. We'll see what happens there. Just for Laughs Vancouver kicks off tonight. Let's see who's playing, and let's play my favorite game. If we were there, what would we go see? All right, here are the options. Pay attention. You got a pen? Write these down. 7 o'clock, Maria Bamford. 7 o'clock, Joel Kim Booster. 7 o'clock, Brandon Wardell. 8:30, Vancouver Special Comedy Show. What's that? Vancouver's hottest comedy show. Features comic scene on Netflix, Disney Plus, Crave, whatever. Who are they? Savannah Erasmus, Marito Lopez, Michelle Nandi, Ross Dauk, and Julie Kim. 9 o'clock, Full Pint Comedy. What's that? An acclaimed stand-up comedy show where pals Ryan Williams and Colin Sharp bring you outstanding professional comedians every single Tuesday. Marito Lopez, Jane Stanton, Bobby Warner, Dino Archie, Erica Sigurdsson, plus more local comics and surprise special guests. All right, that's interesting. And 9:30, Chris Fleming. Chris Fleming was named one of Variety's 10 comics to watch for 2019. Check your calendar. Of his live show, Chortle says you can't take your eyes off this unpredictable, exciting performer. Splitsider says a madman and I think genius. All right, that sounds like a good time. All right, let's play that What Should We Go See game. Early show. Do we want to see Bamford or Joel Kim Booster? I like Joel a lot. Maria's energy, I've seen her do full sets and it gets a little fatiguing. I think Maria's comedy works better in shorter bursts than an hour. So let's go see Joel Kim Booster at 7 o'clock. And then for our late show, you want to see Vancouver Special Comedy Show, Full Pint Comedy, or Chris Fleming. That description of Chris Fleming is pretty intriguing there. I'm also tempted to go see local Vancouver comedians. On the other hand, Full Pint Comedy has beer. What do you guys want to do? Let's go to Full Pint Comedy and have a couple beers. We can just hang. Oh, there's more news from Yahoo. Got some more details about the conversation between Dave Chappelle and his alleged attacker. The attacker told the Post, I told Chappelle my mother and grandmother who fought for civil rights to be able to speak would be upset at the things he said. According to the attacker, Chappelle replied, now your story will die with you, son. Wow. Bill Cosby, another trial, a civil suit accusing Mr. Cosby, as the New York Times calls him, of assaulting a teenager in the 1970s, which Bill Cosby denies, is heading to court. Wow, I really wanted to talk about SNL at length, but this podcast is getting a little long. I guess we'll do that tomorrow. I do have a holiday weekend coming up, Johnny Mac. You'll be able to get that in. And from Chortle, comedy punk band The Cunts. Don't worry, they spell it with a K, so it's not offensive. They've been banned from YouTube. No, not because of their name. They have a new song. Prince Andrew is a sweaty nonce. Now, I had to go to the Google machine. Apparently, nonce is British slang for a rapist or child molester, semicolon, a sexual offender. So that's not a nothing word there. Chortle says the group had planned to get the track high on the charts over the Jubilee weekend. Yeah, the Queen's Jubilee is next week. They're celebrating the Queen starting on June 2nd. If you want to follow that, Palace Intrigue Podcast, royal family stuff. I'm the writer. I don't host it, but I write it. We talk royal family, Palace Intrigue Review shows. Anyway, the Jubilee's next weekend, and the Cunts wanted to promote their song. Again, I said it's with a K. I'm not being offensive here. I'm saying it with a K. Lead singer Kunt, K-U-N-T, who never reveals his real name, received notice that the channel was being pulled on Thursday, the day before the video's release. The band is known for their expletive-riddled tracks, including one about Boris Johnson, which made number 5 in the Christmas charts in both 2020 and 2021, despite getting no airplay because of its title. Now I want to know what that was called. Let's see. Cunts, Boris Johnson. Let's see what comes up. That song was called Boris Johnson is Still an Effing C-Word. See, now it's spelled with a C, so I'm not going to say it, even though I've said a very similar sounding word 5 times in the story, because that starts with a K. But Boris Johnson is Still an Effing C was that song that made number 5. Mr. Cunt with a K says it's a big loss in terms of being able to get the message out to people. What's most annoying is after getting no radio or TV coverage from the Boris Johnson songs, apparently because of all the F and C words, this time around we made a song and a video that doesn't contain any swear words or explicit content, apart from an arse that we've covered up with a Pizza Express logo. All right, that's your comedy news for today. I have a feeling we'll be talking Ricky Gervais tomorrow. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. If you'd like the episodes early and commercial-free, become a premium subscriber on Apple Podcasts. Another way to support the show is go to buymeacoffee.com. See, there's not even ice in this one. I need a new one. You can throw $5 in the tip jar and you can buy me a coffee. I'll go to the National Donuts chain and I will buy a large iced coffee with caramel and milk. Or, I was going to say no. I was going to say it's trivia night, but it's not. We have volleyball playoffs, so I'm not playing trivia tonight. So you can't buy me a beer. You have to buy me a coffee. See you tomorrow.